The same reason why we wait to give certain things to our children is the same reason why we have to believe in God's timing. If we put God as the center and foundation of everything, we have to trust in His timing. We have to trust in His promises. You see, the Bible tells us that in its right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Meaning that if we put God as the center and foundation of everything, we are not left behind. You see, things can be delayed, but for a good reason. You see, for instance, you can have a car that you have already bought for a child, but you wait for the right time to give these keys to your child, because you know that if you give the keys to your child right now, or maybe before he or she turns 18, then maybe he has no the capacity to handle the car. Or you maybe know that maybe there is something wrong in the car even when the child turns 18. You know the condition of the car because you are the one who prepared, you are the one who bought it, or you are the one who knows about this car. So you may know that, okay, before I give the keys to my child, I need maybe to change the brake fluid, I need to change the transmission fluid, I need to change the oil or something. Because if your child just take it right away without knowing this information, or in its condition, maybe it can be fatal to the child or to the car, both. You see, they can run it. And also another, you wait even until the child gets a driving license, you see, in order to drive this car. So we trust ourselves, with the timing that we give certain gifts to our children. That is the same thing that we have to trust God to give us certain gifts. We just don't have to take from God. You see, because God's timing is the best. Because if we just go and take things from God, then we are going to take a wrong thing, or we are going to, maybe sometimes God can actually show us that I want to give you this thing. You see, for instance, like it can be like a relationship. God can tell you that like this will be your husband, or this will be your wife. Maybe it's a revelation or something like. But people, we just tend to try to accelerate things. Like then we try to put ourselves in positions that, okay, I want to do this, and I want to sleep with this girl, I want to sleep with this guy or something. Because but what we are actually doing is we are trying to go ahead of God's plan. You see, that might be the right person, but you are getting that person in the wrong time. You see, and when you get that person in the wrong time, you are not getting like a fully prepared. And also maybe you yourself, you are not already like fully prepared to handle that person. Maybe the person is already like fully prepared, but you are the one who is not fully prepared. Or the other way, maybe you are qualified now, but some things has to be fixed in that person. So we need to wait until God's timing. So there are even certain examples like in the Bible when like great men of God also like try to accelerate God's promises, or try to, and also when even the devil try to do some counterfeit or something. So when we try to accelerate God's plan or God's promises, then we are going to get a counterfeit. We are not going to get the original promise that God has given us. So for instance, like if we take an example of Abraham, like he's God's friend, like he is referred to as God's friend in the Bible. And God promised Abraham that you are going to have a son, you are going to have a child, like with Sarah. But at the time, like because God made them to wait, they say, for this promise. But Sarah became impatient, and even like to the point that she gave Hagar, he said, to Abraham to have a son, because she was no longer trusting in God's promise. Then they did what they did, and and at the end, like the promise came as God promised. You see, the promise will always come. Like we can mess other things, but God's promise is always good. Will always fulfill the promise. The promise came, but when the promise came, like it created now conflicts. And what happened? Then Abraham was forced to chase away his son, and you see, but God was with them. Then even so, it created also like some uncomfortable situation also for Abraham, because he has to let his son like go live, you see, without even like maybe some proper inheritance or whatever. And also in the case of Jacob, like Jacob, God is already like we showed him that okay, this will be your wife, like which means Rachel, you see, because the blessing was on Rachel. So but then Jacob worked 7 years and so on. Then the day of marriage, because of the norms of this world, right? Then that was saying no, no, like you, an elder sister is not allowed to get married before the little sister. So then the counterfeit came, like the norms of the world, like it brought the counterfeit to Jacob. That okay, then he was given Leah, but because Jacob trusted God's promise or trusted like God's vision, because he couldn't argue with the norms of the world at that time. That okay, no, I will not accept this. But he just said, okay, I work for another 7 years because my promise is this. God showed me this one is my wife. So and God gave him the strength to work for other 7 years, and got the real one or the actual one that he was promised or that he was shown in the vision. And so what happened like after that, then then you like the counterfeit. So because you can actually see that some spirits were actually trying to work around this to try to prevent the blessing of the birth of Joseph to come, you see. Then when Joseph, so at the end, like finally Rachel gave birth to Joseph, and because the blessing was through Rachel and through Joseph, then like you know what happened. Then the brothers of the counterfeit now Leah started hating Joseph, and even Leah started even hating the sister Rachel. But then they even wanted to kill the brother, and but somehow God used the other brother to defend, and they couldn't like and finally sold him to those who were going to Egypt. And you see what happened. He's the one who rescued the Israelites, and so this is the importance of trusting God's timing. So when we put God as the center and foundation of everything, we just have to trust His promises. We are not left behind. Some people may think that okay, others are progressing and so on, but we just need to trust in God. And even another version even tells us that in its time, I, the Lord, will do it swiftly. You see, so it will be done swiftly. So we are not left behind. So trust in God's promises.